On the morning of 8th January 2018, the prevailing northeast monsoon, aggravated by development of a Sumatra squall, gave rise to intense rainfall across several parts of Singapore. The highest recorded total rainfall in that morning was 118.8 millimeters. This means that about half of Singapore's average monthly rainfall in January fell over just over 4 hours. 8 of the 9 locations that experienced flash floods that morning are low-lying and therefore susceptible to flash floods. 2 of these, Tampines Road, opposite Jalan Teliti, and Arumugam Road, have a history of flash floods. PUB is already carrying out drainage improvement works in these 8 locations to enable the drains there to discharge more water in a shorter time when completed. During drainage improvement works, PUB ensures that the drainage capacity of the area is maintained at the original level before works commence. Drainage works did not cause flash floods in these locations. For the 9th location at Tampines Avenue 12, apart from intense rainfall, which exceeded the drain's design capacity, a temporary construction access road built by the contractor had obstructed the earth drain in an adjacent worksite. This aggravated the flash flood. PUB has worked with the developer to improve the drainage at the earth drain, and this will help to improve the situation at Tampines Avenue 12 in an event of an intense storm. The longer-term measure is the permanent drainage system, which will be built in tandem with the upcoming development project at the adjacent worksite. The flash floods were caused by intense rainfall temporarily exceeding the existing design capacity of the drains. Although the floodwaters affected only certain stretches of the roads and subsided within 15 to 60 minutes, we acknowledge that members of the public were inconvenienced and a number of cars were stalled. When flash floods occur, we urge members of the public to exercise caution and avoid traversing in submerged areas even if they appear safe. Flash floods are usually of short duration, and it's better to take a detour or wait for them to pass before continuing the journey. To aid the public, PUB, together with the traffic police and LTA, will help divert vehicles at the earliest possible. Let me go back to drain design. PUB takes into account the rain, the extent and type of developments in the area, catchment areas served by the drain, as well as the design rainfall intensity over the catchment. This is standard international practice. However, with climate change, we can expect more intense rainfalls to be the norm in the future. A study by the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research found that flood risk from rainfall changes will increase in the next 2 to 3 decades due to global warming from greenhouse gases already emitted into the atmosphere. The need for adaptation is significant, even in countries with good infrastructures like Singapore. To prepare for this, PUB has raised the drainage design standards since 2011 so that our drains can handle up to 45% higher rainfall intensities. These new standards were endorsed in 2012 by a drainage expert panel comprising local and international specialists. Since 2012, PUB has commenced and completed drainage improvements works at 327 locations. There are another 73 locations undergoing similar works, with 22 more planned this year. The government has invested $1.2 billion on these works and has set aside another $500 million for the next 2 to 3 years. However, it's not feasible to build our drains to accommodate every extreme rainfall event, as this would require massive land take and much higher cost. Let me just take one example. Bedok Canal, which serves some of the affected areas, is being widened at a cost of $128 million. To accommodate, to extend its width of 38 meters to 44 meters. wide enough to accommodate an expressway of 10 lanes, 5 lanes each way. Even with this widening, we cannot guarantee that there will be no floods in future, as rainfall events of even higher intensity could still occur that exceed the design capacity. This is especially so with climate change. To deal with the most extreme historical rainfall events, the Bedok Canal would need to be widened to at least 62 meters, displacing the Bedok Park connector and community spaces adjacent to the canal, and possibly even affecting surrounding residential areas. This will look like a 16-lane expressway. Given competing needs for other land uses such as housing, park, roadside, we have to be practical in our drainage expansion in Singapore. We have to design with practical considerations and not for extreme conditions all the time for all places. Building our drains for extreme conditions could mean that much of the capacity would be extremely costly, but not needed most of the time. We will, however, ensure our critical infrastructure is well protected from such extreme rainfalls. This is achieved through the source pathway receptor approach, which was developed based on the recommendation of the Drainage Expert Panel to implement a holistic range of interventions. Let me elaborate on the source pathway receptor approach. Under this approach, other than improving the pathways or the drains, we also manage the source, which refers to where the rain falls. Measures include detention tanks to slow down surface runoff and reduce the amount of storm water entering the drains during peak rainfall. For instance, the Stamford Detention Tank and the Stamford Diversion Canal are constructed to protect Orchard Road against floods. These are still under construction. Built beneath a nursery and coach bay of the Tyersall Learning Forest, the Stamford Detention Tank will temporarily hold excess storm water from the drains. After the rain subsides, the storm water will be pumped back into the drains for subsequent discharge in Marina Reservoir. For areas that are most at risk of flooding, PUB stipulates that buildings must have receptor features, such as higher platform levels, crash protection, and flood barriers to prevent flood waters from damaging them. Apart from structural interventions, PUB places equal emphasis on non-structural measures, such as the maintenance of drains. PUB and NEA's Department of Public Cleanliness carry out regular inspections to remove debris, litter, and leaves from the drains. We encourage everyone to keep our environment litter-free. Any obstruction in the drain reduces its capacity and impedes water flow, which could lead to or aggravate a flash flood. We urge developers and contractors to ensure that the drains in and around their work sites function well. Members of the public are encouraged to provide feedback on drain conditions through PUB's My Water app or MSO's One Service app, or call PUB 24-hour call center. Mr. Speaker, as flash floods cannot be completely eliminated, PUB seeks to help members of the public better cope with a flash flood by warning them and providing alerts and timely situation updates. Members of the public can subscribe to NEA's and PUB's SMS alerts or mobile apps for updates on impending heavy rain and the water level in drains at designated locations. While PUB strives to give early warning to the public, the weather systems in our equatorial region pose a forecasting challenge. These weather systems comprise mainly convective thunderstorms, which tend to be localized, develop rather suddenly, and are of short duration. This limits the lead time of our warnings of heavy rain and consequently of flash flood. During flash floods, members of the public can stay updated through radio broadcasts, PUB's Facebook and Twitter pages, mobile apps, as well as LTA's Expressway Monitoring Advisory System, or EMAS. Our approach to flood management is a comprehensive one that seeks to alleviate flood risks while minimizing disruption to the public. We'll continue to take all necessary steps to enhance flood resilience in Singapore and keep the public informed of flash flood incidents.